If you ever have a time where you know something is going to work, but everybody keeps telling you it's not going to work, let Cody Rhodes be your inspiration.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Episode number 35. Whoa, hard to believe it's been 35 traditional episodes of this. But before we get into it, make sure you are following us at the Wrestling Realm. Make sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. So make sure you subscribe there and you can get all the latest and greatest content. And guess what? This is a busy week. You know, we got the Super Show coming up. So obviously there'll be a Super Show prediction show coming up, as well as, you know, looking back at what happened on SmackDown. But right now we're going to talk about Raw. No, actually we're not. We're going to start off with our top rope, and we're not even talking about Monday Night Raw.
Going up to the top rope.
It's time for this week's Top Rope segment of the week.
All right, so this week's top rope segment of the week, the best thing that happened in professional wrestling this weekend was the man himself, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, becoming the IWGP United States Champion. Rhodes defeated Juice Robinson in a match he said was personal. He took exception to the fact that people was calling Juice Robinson a dusty kid. Now, you know, Robinson was in the Performance Center. He's down at NXT. He was amongst the people that they said was the Dusty's kids. You know, guys like him, Kevin Owens, the ones that Dusty called his broken toys. They said if you were a wrestler that had the look, had the body, had the charisma, Dusty didn't want much to do with you because he would like his broken toys that he could help mold you into something. And Juice Robinson was one of those guys, but you know, when I sit there and I think about Cody Rhodes, here's a guy who, when he was in the WWE, I will be the first to admit, he came up, it was him, Ted DiBiase Jr., they was known as Legacy, and they would eventually add Manu, who's Alpha Jr., but they were, you know, this group, and they was going to be like the next in line, the next coming. But I always thought Ted DiBiase Jr. was going to be the star. You know, to me, he looked better. One, I didn't like Cody Rhodes until 2011 when he finally put some knee pads on. But I just thought that DiBiase Jr. was going to be the star. And boy, was I wrong. So, you know, and Cody has, I mean, you look at the month of September, man, you know, he began the month winning the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, beating Nick Aldis at All In, and then closes the month out at New Japan's Fighting Spirit Unleashed, defeating Juice Robinson to become the IWGP United States Champion. And what a match that was. You know, great story. One of the things, you know, Cody found a way to win, and you know, with his bride by his side, he's still out there doing his thing, winning matches. And, you know, but just going to talk a little bit about that card. You know, I got a chance to look at some of it. Didn't watch everything, but just I'm talking about some of the matches I saw and matches that really stuck out. You know, you had Suzuki Gun defeating Evil. Suzuki Gun featured Davey Boy Smith Jr., you know, son of the late great British Bulldog, Lance Archer, and Zack Sabre Jr. And they defeated Evil, Sonata, and Tetsuya Naito. So, you know, great match. I'm always, you know, Davey Boy Smith Jr., man, this guy, if he was to ever go back to the WWE, he could be a big time player. But another match, the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Lao defeating the Young Bucks, and what a hard hit match. They became the new IWGP Tag Team Champions. You know, the Gorillas of Destiny just went out there and, I mean, they beat the crap out of the Young Bucks. I mean, not to say the Young Bucks didn't put forth an effort, because they certainly did. They did their thing too, but, you know, it didn't. The Gorillas of Destiny had to, you know, they had to bring it, and that's exactly what they did. They wasn't playing around. You've been having all this beef between the Bullet Club, the Bullet Club OG and the Bullet Club Elite, but it was the Girls of Destiny walking away with the championships. So one of the things is, I love that a guy like Tama Tonga, he's not afraid. He goes on social media, he's called them out, calling them the elite marks, which, I always say teach your kids is not a dirty word, but the Young Bucks, that's what people, they're wrestling fans. So that's what he said. And they were a bunch of elite marks. So that's where we are. I'm going to wrap this part up. I haven't had a chance to watch the rest of the show. So, I probably will before I do SmackDown. And if I do, I'll definitely talk some more about it. Like I said, it's good stuff over there in New Japan. So I'm going to get ready to take my first break. And then when I get back, we'll talk some Monday Night Raw.
What is up, people? This is Shawn Williams, host of Variety Bites and The Shark Attack, and you are listening to Break It Down with my good friend, Mr. Wrestling Knowledge himself, Mr. Main Event, Brian H. Waters, right here on Podbean.
And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's start where Raw ended. We had the Brothers of Destruction. Actually, no, let's start where it happened. Shawn Michaels came out there and he pretty much said that he was going to be in Triple H's corner, and he was, if anybody he putting his money on is his brother Triple H, every day of the week, twice on Sunday. And then it was fine to say that, but then he had to tell Kane that if he came out there, he was going to push him back with some sweet chin music, and nothing would happen but for Kane's music to hit. And Shawn Michaels, you can tell he's been out of the ring too long because he was sitting there waiting, looking at the entryway. And I'm like, dude, you should know better by now. Turn around. What happened? He turned around and walks right into a choke slam. And then if that wasn't enough, the lights go back out again. Here comes the Undertaker. And, those two, they was, taking down HBK. And then here comes Triple H. But, those Triple H and Taker got the brawling, but Kane was right there, and that would lead to both of them choke slamming DX, and the Brothers of Destruction stand supreme. So that makes you think, okay, that means Undertaker and Triple H are going to, one, they're going to close the show, and two, Triple H is going to win. So I could be wrong, but I just see them closing the show. I know a lot of people probably will not like that. Probably be time people wake up here in the United States. That show starts 4 a.m. on Saturday. So I wonder, are you going to get up? I don't know if I'm going to get up yet. Or maybe I'll just stay up. Or maybe I'll take a nap. Who knows? Time will tell. But, that's where we are with that. And, but the best segment on Monday Night Raw, Elias and Kevin Owens. Elias coming out there, and they were in Seattle, and he said something mentioning the Supersonics, and that's the reason why they got out of town. And boy, did that crowd get hot. I mean, I was watching it. To be honest with you, I was sitting there. I had Raw on the iPad, but I was watching some New Japan, and I'm like, wow, hold on, let me pause this real quick. And I could just hear the crowd, and that's when I was like, wow, they are hot. And I mean, he was on point, Elias is a heat seeker. Real Dwayne Allen said that last year in our our Survivor Series episode. He talked about him, it was our first show back, and so I had to get him to say what he says on our shows that we don't air. But he said that. He was like, he's a heat seeker. And sure enough, we saw that tonight. Elias being the heat seeker, he was able to get me entertained, I have to say. And this is the guy who should be featured every week on Raw. I promise you, I think we'll start seeing him in bigger spots now. Nonetheless, Leo Rush came out there and he was talking. I mean, he kind of stayed, did his thing. He didn't get lost. But in the end, it led to a match between Bobby Lashley and Kevin Owens, with Kevin Owens getting a win. So, man, but like I said, that was just the best part. Now, it's time to get into the Tapped Out.
Here's our Tapped Out segment of the week.
So, Tapped Out this week, man. Should it all go together? I think it is going to all go together. Tapped Out this week is man, the Shield. Why do they want to make us believe there's dissemination between the Shield? Why do you have Braun Strowman in the back telling Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre that Dean Ambrose can be the guy because he's a winner? He's just not a winner when he goes against him. So, catch you up if you missed it. Show begins. Dean Ambrose comes out there, explains, he's just pretty much talking. I caught in the middle. He's just talking about how they're his brothers and whatnot. And then Baron Corbin says, oh, yeah, they're your brothers. All right, well, you know what? How about this? I'm going to give you 3 options. You can face Roman for the Universal Championship, Seth for the Intercontinental Championship, or you can face Braun Strowman. So then Dean Ambrose says, how about option 4, me face you right now? Then Baron Corbin says, no, it's not an option. Makes the match between him and Strowman. So they end up having a match. And during the match, Strowman's beating up Dean Ambrose. After he beats him up really bad, that leads to Roman coming out there to kind of save the day. As Roman comes out there, here comes McIntyre. And then next thing you know, here comes, what's his name? Here comes Seth Rollins. That leads to, no, that's not what happened. It was McIntyre and them didn't come out. Anyway, it was so long ago. Anyway, long story short, Corbin comes out there and basically says, all right, fine. You know what? Y'all want to do this? Okay, Roman, you're going to face Ziggler. McIntyre, you're going to face, Rollins, you're going to face McIntyre. Ziggler and Roman will wrestle. During the match, he said, when the match, they raised the title. Corbin comes out there, and this is where I have an issue with. Corbin says, no, the title's not on the line. So Dolph Ziggler's supposed to be happy unless there was some sort of plan or he knew about or he's promised a title match later. He's supposed to just be happy. He's not even going to put up a fight. Unless, of course, Roman wins. Then later on, back to the situation where Braun was talking about Ambrose being a winner, because then, they planted the seed where Ambrose is in the back, and then Rollins goes up to him and said, hey, man, you all right? And he said, man, I'm making pretty much saying I'm making sacrifice, but I could have been Intercontinental Champion. So he basically said, look, I could have took your title, but instead I took a beating. Nonetheless, you have Strowman looking at, on the other side, you have Strowman looking at Ziggler like, you lost. And then he looks at McIntyre and says, you better win, which McIntyre does win. Meanwhile, Roman says to, checks on Dean, and he's like, man, all this, but I could have possibly been Universal Champion. So the seed is, you can beat Rollins, but you can beat Reigns. So all this is going on. It's confusion every week. The same thing over and over and over again. So I wasn't too happy with that. Wasn't thrilled at all. That part made Raw completely boring, but hey, it is what it is. Just a couple of things to touch on before I get out of here. Trish Stratus, Alexa Bliss, in her moment of bliss this week, she talked about wanting an autograph because Trish Stratus was her favorite and said she met her at 7, and Trish said no and charged her for the autograph. Says, but this is my autograph book. She said, your autograph book isn't going to buy me expensive stuff. And this just goes to show you reason why Alexa Bliss is in this match and not Sasha or Bayley, folks. She's gold. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. She knows how to cut a promo. She knows how to. You go back, you look at Total Divas, and you see the moment when Nia Jax won. Alexa Bliss was needed because she was able to capture that and make everybody in the world hate her, so that when Nia had her moment, it would mean something special. So, and then, good win this week. We saw the B team get a win over the Revival. Today was Curtis Axel's birthday. So shout out to them. And then afterwards, AOP attacked them, and they just pretty much came and said, look, you know what? We're not playing around, So that's going to be it, quick one. Make sure you catch the SmackDown review on episode 36 and whatever else I decide to talk about. As always, I appreciate it. And guess what? Like I said, if you're out there, you're looking to put a little bit of extra money in your pocket while getting healthy, make sure you hit me up for details. I got you covered. So, till the next time, follow me at Brian H. Waters. Follow the Wrestling Realm. And make sure you are subscribed to each and every one of our platforms. Till the next time, so long, everybody.